Now I invite Dr. Smitha. She's a consultant in Little Flower Hospital in the Department of Glaucoma. She'll be presenting the imaging techniques in angle assessment. Can they replace gonioscopy?
Good morning all. My topic is imaging techniques and angle assessment. Can they replace gonioscopy? Anterior segment imaging provides cross-sectional angle picture. It offers an objective method for visualizing the angle and adjacent anatomical structures. It can be done with anterior segment OCT, UBM, pentacam and ICAM. I am discussing on anterior segment OCT and UBM. With OCT, the axial resolution is 5 microns and lateral resolution is 15 microns, while with UBM, the axial resolution is 25 microns and lateral resolution 50 microns. Coupling medium is needed in case of UBM, and the depth of penetration with OCT is approximately 1 millimeter, while with UBM it is 4 to 5 millimeter. The advantages of OCT are, it's a non-contact method. Patient should be in the sitting position. It is not dependent on the operator's skill. It is useful in children. It has better image resolution and it can be used for post-surgical assessment. But the main disadvantage is it cannot image structures posterior to iris. With UBM, we can image structures posterior to iris, so we can identify plateau iris, uveal effusion, ciliary body, iris and ciliary body cyst, etc. But the disadvantage is a contact procedure. Patient has to lie down supine and it requires a skilled operator and there is risk of corneal injury. It cannot be used in immediate post-surgical period. Advantages of imaging over gonioscopy are it gives an objective assessment of the anatomic parameters, while gonioscopy cannot do it with good reliability. It can do imaging of anterior segment in eyes with corneal edema and opacity, and factors beyond the angle, that is non-pupillary block mechanism, can be identified. Both qualitative and quantitative assessment can be done with anterior segment imaging. And the most important landmark is the scleral spur. You can identify the scleral spur as a junction, at the junction of the radiotranslucent cornea with radiopaque sclera. It lies at the corneoscleral junction as an inward protrusion. Various parameters can be assessed with software in these imaging modalities. The most important angle opening distance, that is the distance between the cornea and iris along a line perpendicular to cornea, a specified distance from the scleral spur, usually it is 250 or 500 microns. And then trabecular iris angle. Angle recess area is the triangular area lying between the line used for angle opening distance, anterior iris surface and the inner corneoscleral wall. Trabecular iris space area is more specific. It gives the filtering area. Other parameters are trabeculo-ciliary process distance, iris ciliary process distance, iris lens contact distance, etc. With angle imaging, the angle is said to be close when there is iridotrabecular contact in more than 2 quadrants. We can evaluate the underlying anatomic and physiological mechanisms for angle closure. 4 mechanisms are involved. They are pupillary block, non-pupillary block including plateau iris and peripheral iris crowding, lens-related causes and retrolenticular cause. In iris Bombay, you can see the anterior converse iris, in pupillary block you can see the iris Bombay, that is the anterior converse iris configuration with the iridolenticular contact over the pupillary area. In plateau iris, it is best identified with UBM. There is anterior rotation of the ciliary process with anterior displacement of the adjacent iris, steep rise of iris root, flat central plane, and absence of ciliary sulcus. That is, ciliary sulcus is the space between the iris and the ciliary process, and there is iridotrabecular contact. Here you can see the cystic space behind the iris. There are non-angle parameters also involved in angle closure. It may be static risk factors or dynamic risk factors. Static risk factors include lens wall, anterior chamber area, volume, iris thickness, area, iris volume, iris curvature. And in dynamic risk factors, we can note the changes in the iris area in response to pupil diameter. Lens wall is the perpendicular distance between the anterior pole of the crystalline lens and the horizontal line joining the two clearance spur. Higher the lens mount is an independent risk factor for angle closure. Here you can see volcano-like iris configuration which drapes over the lens, and there is angle crowding. Lens position is the total sum of anterior chamber depth and the half of lens thickness, and relative lens position is lens position by axial length. In primary angle closure eyes, there is more anterior relative lens position and thicker lens. The proximity of the anterior iris surface to the trabecular meshwork is important, and if there is high iris curvature, there is a greater risk of angle closure disease. Anterior chamber width and anterior chamber area are smaller in narrow angle eyes, and the anterior chamber volume is approximately 25% lower in primary angle closure patients. This is a SEPSOS OCT. It gives three-dimensional reconstruction of the entire circumference of the anterior chamber angle. It allows to quantify the dimension of iridotrabecular contact. And iridotrabecular index is the percentage of extent of iridotrabecular contact to the whole circumferential distance of the identifiable angle. It is useful in monitoring changes in the peripheral anterior symmetry post-treatment. So in conclusion, anterior segment imaging provides qualitative and quantitative information that helps in identifying mechanisms of angle closure. It is used as an adjunct in clinical decision making. It is useful for long-term follow-up, can be used in situations of corneal pathology, and can help in patient education. Thank you.